Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's live streaming where we're going to be looking at computers for video editing, for content creators, and generally the computers that I use, as well as all the softwares that I normally use on my computer. So I'm going to go through all the softwares, like the ones I use for editing, softwares that I install in my computers, and explain to you why I install them in that way. So it's going to be a massive live streaming today. We have spoken a lot about cameras for live streaming. We have spoken about cameras for creating good content. For you to create really good videos, you also need a good camera. And for you to really edit good videos, you also need a good computer. So as a beginner, as people who are beginning, maybe you might have problems when it comes to computers. What kind of computer do I actually really need for editing, and what are the most important softwares that I need to know, that I need to install in my computer? All right, will that computer allow me to install such kind of a software? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. So let me just greet. Today we're not really going to stay long. We want to try and keep this one under 1 hour. All right, so let me just greet the people who are joining. I can see Elton is watching, connected. Thank you, Mr. Elton. John Ramapelangi also is watching from Francistown, Botswana. Thank you. Fidel is watching from Centurion in South Africa. Thank you. Conias Makanga also is watching. We are live. Thank you so much. And watching from Kempton Town, this is Mr. Aubrey Visuals. Thank you so much, Mr. Aubrey. Watching from Namibia, thank you so much. That is Mr. Simeon. Watching from Newcastle, KZN, thank you so much. Mr. Tusi watching. Oh, come on. White Coast as well is watching from Zambia. Thank you so much, Mr. White Coast, for joining us this evening. I love White Coast. I love his music a lot. He sings quite a lot of good music, I love him a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. White Coast, for joining. I can see Mr. VJ is watching from Malawi. I can see Mr. Henry Musonda is watching from Zambia, Kampala. I can see Mr. Sean is watching all the way from Johannesburg. Like Ligama also is watching from South Africa. And Mr. Duncan also is watching from Blantyre, Malawi. Thank you so much. So let's not waste time. It's really good that you need to have a good computer as well as a good camera. So when it comes to camera, actually, I think if today I was starting and I had to pick what is the most important part of production, whether I should pick a computer or a camera, I think the first thing I'll pick is the computer, because cameras have really become very good. Any DSLR camera that you can pick today, and most videographers actually ask me, oh, what is the best camera? There's nothing like a best camera. But with a computer, I think there's some restrictions there. That's why I made this whole live just to talk about computers and get into the computer and show you all the programs that I use. Sometimes maybe you actually really didn't know about what softwares do you need to install. So at least maybe knowing from somebody who does it, I can give you some guidance and stuff like that. So it's not really going to be a waste of your data. I'm hoping really that you get something, you get to learn something new. All right. So what computer must I buy, and how much should I budget for in order for me to buy a really good computer for video editing? So when it comes to the specs of the computer that you can use for editing, for creating your videos, for creating anything, right, creatively, at least it has to be different from that normal office computer. I have seen there are a lot of my students who have bought my courses, and they're trying to use office computers to try and follow up with my courses and stuff like that. And it's a little bit of a challenge, because there's those office computers where you just really watch movies, you just really do Excel, type documents and stuff like that. But a computer that you're gonna really use to live stream, a computer for editing, a computer for content creation, at least it needs to have a certain level of attention. All right, so that's what I'm gonna try and clear out today. If you guys have questions, please just ask. I'm gonna be looking at the at my phone here to see if there's questions, and then be answering those questions as we go on. So for those of you who doesn't know, I have an awesome online film class where I teach videography with regards to how to shoot videos, how to edit videos, how to color grade videos, how to shoot music videos, how to shoot wedding videos. And we are running a promotion that is ending tomorrow on the 25th. So this is the main website. Just type www here. Let me just zoom that part a little bit. All right, so just type ufc.unifiedinventive.net and it will bring you to this awesome website where you're gonna find all my courses. All my courses are here. So if you want to learn how to shoot, camera settings, all the technical lingo and the creativity in videography and stuff like that, you can all learn it from here. All right, if you want to know how to edit, which today we're going to be talking about the computer for editing, you're going to learn it all here from the beginning to the end, actually. And then color grading, this is my most selling color grading course. I think even on the internet, I think it's the most beautiful course. I've got a lot of positive review on this course. And then we've got music videos and we got wedding videos. Live streaming is dropping this week as well. I think Friday is gonna drop. So we have these awesome courses that you can find on my website. All right, so today we're gonna be looking at the computers for live streaming. And that's basically what I do. I'm a filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker, and I'm also a mentor in videography. So for some of you who are just joining this live stream, say, hey, who is this guy with long hair who is trying to be a professor to teach us? So I've been doing filmmaking now for the past 14 years, if not 16, for the past 14 years professionally. And I've picked up a lot of stuff along the way, which I always really wish to share with especially upcoming videographers. So if you find what I'm teaching in these things to be so much, oh man, this is nothing. I'm really doing this for videographers who are upcoming in the game. All right, so let's begin with the computer that you will need for video editing. So the computer that you need for video editing and content creation, like I said, if I had to be given a choice to say, okay, here is a 5,000, do you need to buy a camera or a computer? Which one are you going to buy first? I think the first thing I will buy is a computer, because with a computer, I can actually really make a lot of money to buy even a camera, because I can use a computer to create templates, to create all those digital products and sell them online. I was teaching about that topic on our business section of videography, how you can make money even when you don't have a camera, right? So if I had to be given money, I would really invest it in a computer. So how much do you need in order for you to actually really buy a good computer? The first thing actually to look at is the price. All right, so I have different types of computers. I have a lot of computers, all right? And one of these computers that I no longer use are the ones that I'm gonna give at our upcoming workshops that will take place in Zambia and South Africa. So we have an amazing workshop that is taking place in Zambia, starting from the first week in Ndola, second week in Lusaka, third week in Livingstone, fourth week in Zambia, and then on the first week of October will be in Pretoria. So I'm gonna be giving away 10 editing computers. So I have a lot of computers, and all of them, they have one thing in common. I always pay attention to a few things when I'm getting a computer, because I know I'm going to use it at some point, right? So the first thing that I pay attention to is the processor. The brand of the computer, whether it's Dell, whether it is Proline, whether it is HP, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the specs. So don't really ask to say, hey, which one is better between Dell and Lenovo, because what matters is the specs. And I really get those questions, Someone will ask me, what camera is better between Sony and Canon? What question is that? What if the Sony is the high end and the Canon is not the high end? What comparison are you trying to make? All right, so the brand doesn't really matter. What matters is the specs. So when it comes to the process, the first thing you need to look at, especially if you're going to be editing, the first thing you need to look at is the processor. That is the first thing. The processor is the engine. This is the heart of the computer. It's the one that actually enables to process all this data and, you know, show it in the way that you can see it. So when it comes to the processor, the computer that I can recommend in 2023, at least get an i5 processor with at least 2.4 gigahertz, as well as at least it has to have 4 cores, you know, 4 cores and yeah, 2.4 the speed, 2.4 gigahertz. i5 list. These are just like the minimum. So if you have some budget, you can actually get an i5 processor if you are using Windows. If you are using Mac computers, you can get i5 or i7 still. But if you have migrated to M1 or M1 processors are really good. So the processor is the first thing, because even the production, even the editing softwares, they actually really utilize the computer's processor. So if you have a strong processor, that is really good. So if you're gonna go and buy a computer today, at least look at those specs, right? Look at the processor. If it is i5, i7, at least with 2.4 gigahertz, as well as at least having 4 cores, you know, or 8 cores or higher. Okay, so that is the processor. And then the second thing to look at is the RAM, the random access memory. This is very important. All right, so if you are really beginning with the lowest budget, the one that I recommend is not that 4 GB you have. At least get a computer that has got a memory of 4 GB RAM, 8 GB minimum RAM. All right, so if you can get at least 8 GB or 12 GB or 16 GB, even better, because even mostly the computer that I'm using, I use 32 GB memory, sometimes 16 GB. It doesn't really matter because my processor is really big. All right, so the RAM actually helps the computer to, you know, run a little bit faster. And then that is RAM. And then the third thing you need to look at is the, what you call this, the graphics card. This is very important. So as an entry-level computer, at least get a computer that has got a graphics card of like 2 gigabytes, dedicated graphics card, right? Because the graphics card also helps to process, especially when it comes to video data, right? If you are into video editing, if you are into content creation, of course, you're going to be doing a lot of video data. So having at least a 2 gigabytes of graphics card in a computer is very, very important. All right, and then the last thing that I want to stress is the hard drive. All right, at least let it have a solid state hard drive. There are 2 types of hard drives, right? There's a hard drive and there's a solid state drive. A solid state doesn't have disks inside. The hard drive has a disk inside. So the one that doesn't have a disk inside is more faster, you know, so it helps the computer to run faster. So at least get a computer that has got a solid state hard drive, at least a 256 GB data, where you install all your softwares, where you are running your operating system, and then maybe you can get a secondary hard drive, maybe of 1 gigahertz, of 1 terabyte. But if you have something like a 256 solid state, you are solid, right? And then how much does such kind of a computer cost? All right, so I'm gonna go on my, I'm gonna go on a website here. You can actually really get these computers, because a lot of people actually ask me to say, how much should I spend on my computer? I can tell you, if you get a second hand, right, you can get a really good computer that has got higher specs, even i7, from at least 4,500 rands. From at least 4,500, or from at least $200. you can actually really get a computer that can edit, that can do live stream, that can do all sort of content creation. You know, I had a computer that just got broken recently. And because I didn't have anything to use, I used one of my lowest end computers and I was able to edit. So yeah, if you are really entering into like deciding which computer you should buy, at least you need to make a budget of at least 4,000 rands or at least $200. $200 you can get a computer. Where you can get a second-hand computer sometimes on Facebook Market, you know, you can get a good computer. So that is all about the computers, right? So for me, the computer that I normally use, it costs, where is it? Okay. All right, so the computer that I'm using to live stream now, the one that is in the background there, it is something like this, right? I'm using, all the computers that I use is, they are laptops, all of them. I'm using something like this. This was my previous computer which got broken and I had to replace it. This was the Acer Helios 300. It is using RTX graphics card, so it had 8 GB 3070 RTX graphics card. It's really powerful. You can throw anything to it, it will just crash it there. And then it had like 2.9 gigahertz of processing power, which can be, which you can actually increase to 5 gigahertz. So it really has like a power to process just about anything that I do. And then you don't need really something that is high spec like this, because as you are starting, you're not going to be filming 8K raw videos and stuff like that. So I film like really high-end programs. And someone was asking me to say, hey, Pedro, you always say you don't really need a high-end computer. You don't really need a high-end cameras, but you're using high-end stuff. It is because, not because the lower-end ones can't work, but I have a luxury to buy them. You know, this computer that I just showed you now, it costs around 82,000 rands. When it got broken, I had to replace it quickly. The one that is live streaming there, I had to replace it quickly. It cost around 79,000. All right. And I have a couple of other few computers that I bought like in the budget of 40,000, some 20,000. The one that I'm going to be showing you today, I bought it actually 4,800, 5,000. So you can see even the lowest, it can actually really still work when it comes to video editing. All right. You are teaching good, bro. SSD is faster. Thank you so much. But I don't really use SSD. I use NVMe, mSATA drives, like those small ones that looks like flash. They are more faster than even SSD. But at least if you are starting, SSD will make your computer run faster. All right, Jay, also, thanks. I will apply your course. I will apply to your course. This is Mr. Nziti. Thank you so much. Danke Grutman, stay blessed. Thank you so much. Mr. Piera. Thank you so much, everybody. I can see there is no questions. So, in front of me here, I have a computer, and I'm just going to switch to that computer right now. And these are the specs that I have in this computer. When my computer got broken, this is the computer that I was using for editing. So these are the specs that are in this computer. This is the computer that I bought for 5,000, right? So you can see it has i7 processor, 2.4 gigahertz, and then it has got 16 GB memory. This is the RAM. I think this is the sweet spot. And then when you come to the processors, at least it has let me just show you the cores that it has. At least get a computer. Okay, Okay, let me zoom here. When it comes to the processors here, you can see it has got it's i7 of 8 processors. So if here you can have at least 4, that would be better. Don't just get a dual core where it's just one processor. At least get a 4 cores. When I mean cores, I mean these single processors combined that are available in that same processor. So here, these ones are 8, which means it is actually really better for video editing. And then when it comes to the graphics card, it has got a dedicated graphics memory. I'll just show you now computer information down here. All right, and I'm just gonna zoom in there. All right, so you can see it has a dedicated memory of 2 gigahertz DDR5. All right, so the total combined memory, it's actually 8 gigahertz, 8 GB, I mean not hertz, 8 GB. So it has got at least memory on the video side. It has got all this memory, but the dedicated video memory is 2 gig. So it has got a graphics card of 2 gig, right? And it is just the normal GTX 760. It's not even like one of these latest, but it was doing really good edits. So I think these are the specs of the computer that you're gonna need when it comes to video editing. All right, so I'm gonna format this computer right here, right now online, and then if you want to know how to format a computer, just let me know in the comment section. But I'm just gonna go through it very quickly. It doesn't really take time, and then I'm gonna show you which programs I install and why I install them and why I make. Sometimes you can actually really have like a good computer, i7 with all these good specs, but maybe you have not really installed the correct softwares and you are finding problems to play your videos, to play back your videos and stuff like that. So there are really important softwares that every time I buy a new computer, those softwares, I install them so that the computer can also really like run faster. All right, so in order for you to format a computer, what you're gonna need to do to have first is the operating system. So I'm using Windows 10 on this computer. And for you to get Windows 10, you don't actually really need to buy it from anywhere. Just go to this website called, let me just zoom here so that you can see it. It is called Get Into PC. Just type Get Into PC and click there. And then you'll find the first link here. And then you go there, click on that link. So it's just loading. All right, so in this website, you can download any software of your choice. You can download the operating systems, you can download Adobe Premiere Pro. This is, ever since I started my videography career, I've never really like bought a software. So anything that I want, any software that I want, I use this website to download any software that I want. So if you don't have any operating system right now, what you do is just type here Windows 10 and search. So you'll see all these Windows 10, they will come. You know, this is even the latest one that was uploaded 3 months ago. So you can download any version of Windows 10 here, right? Any software that you want. If you want, let's say Adobe Premiere Pro, just go search. You'll see you have a lot of Adobe Premiere here. We even have Adobe Premiere Pro 2023, 2022. You can always download any software you want. So if you are wondering, hey, what software where do I get this software? Any software you want right now, you can come and download it here. All right, and these are for Windows people. So if you are using Mac computer, that's why I don't use Mac, because it is really difficult to get Mac products. You either have to buy them or you have to to pay some money for you to get them. But with Windows, you can literally get anything that you want for free. So I never use any software that I have bought. All the softwares I just download them here. Even if you want to download vMix, it's here as well. Whatever software you need, you can see vMix 2023, you can just download it here for free. You just click on it if you want to download. You just click on it and then you go down. You go down where it will just tell you the requirements and stuff like that. Then you go here and just click download and you'll be able to download it. All right. So if you want Windows 10, you can just, let me just go back here. You can just go there and look for it. Once that Windows 10 has been downloaded, in order for you to install it in the computer, you have to put it on your flash disk, right? On your flash disk or on a memory card. Let me see if I can show using this computer. On a memory card like this. All right, so you can download it and put it on a stick and then use this stick to format your computer, right? That's what I'm gonna be doing now. So I'm gonna put it to my computer like this. I'm gonna format this computer live right here, right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna come out from here. And then in order for you to put that software on the stick, what you need is another software called Rufasa. I don't know whether I should call it Rufus or Rufasa. So let me go to my softwares. Software, this is where I have put all my software. You will need a software called Rufus. And then this same Rufus as well, you can still download it from that website I have shown you. So just double click on it. It will run. Yes. No, I don't want to check for updates. So it will bring a menu like this. It will bring a menu like this. And then here you need to, let me insert. Let me insert a program, a flash disk on my computer. You can see the Lumix, this is the flash disk that I've inserted. So make sure it is selected, that disk where you want to put your operating system, right? You select it here and then you go to where it says disk or ISO, then you just go here where it says select, click in there, and then look for that Windows which you have downloaded. All right, so mine is in my softwares. And then we go to, you can see Windows is here. So I'm gonna select it and say open. All right, make sure on the partition scheme, select GPT, not MBR. So make sure if MBR is the one selected, just change it to GPT, and then you don't actually do anything. After you are done, just say start, and then it will prepare your disk for a bootable disk, right? So I'm just gonna click start here, and it will start doing that. Once it's done, it will just say ready. All right, so all right, let's just wait for it to complete the task, and then let me be answering some of the questions. After downloading Adobe Lightroom Classic 2023, it can't open using either Power ISO or WinRAR. I also tried Zip, but it says can't open, the RAR file is damaged, but it still shows properly of 8.8 GB as downloaded. So help me. I think you should go on that website that I've shown you. Maybe you downloaded it from a website where, you know, sometimes some websites, they create these really fake programs that comes with a lot of data, because I have Lightroom here. Let me just go here. I have Adobe Lightroom here. I don't think it's that big, right? you can see it's just 1.4 gigahertz. So the reason why it's not happening is because I think you downloaded a wrong file. It's not supposed to be that big. So Adobe Lightroom at least is 1.5 gig. All right, I'm gonna show you also, I'm gonna install it as well. So just hang on a bit. Okay, so after the software is done, I'm just gonna restart the computer. I'm just gonna restart the computer. So if you have any questions, or there are some softwares that you always wanted to get, I can help you to get them. I can send you a link straight from that same website that I just showed you, and then you can get it from there. Okay. All right, so after the, let me just get to the computer inside. So after it is done, creating a bootable CD, what I'll do is just restart the computer. I'll just restart the computer, and I'll press a key here on this computer that I'm using. The boot key is F2. So you also have to find the manufacturer of your computer. It is restarting, so I'm gonna keep pressing F2 until it has rebooted. So every computer that you're gonna use, on my computer here, it is F2, the boot key. Some computers can be F9, some computers can be F10. So you have to check with your manufacturer. All right. All right, I don't know why it is delaying to boot. I wanted to download vMix, but it is saying that this software can't run on this PC. Maybe it's because your computer, it doesn't meet, maybe the computer doesn't meet the minimum requirement of vMix. So before you download it, on that website that I just showed you now, before you download anything there, they will also show you the computer requirements that your computer needs. That's why I'm talking about these things of computer, because a lot of people actually do that. They download the software and it can't install in the computer, and they're wondering, hey, what's going on? It is because the computer's requirement, you need to make sure at least you have 2 GB graphics card, especially for vMix. You need to make sure at least your computer has got 2 GB dedicated graphics card, at least you have 8 GB of RAM, at least you have a good amount of space in your computer, So other than that, it's not gonna work. All right, so now we are in the boot menu. I'm gonna select, I'm gonna go to boot, and then I'm gonna select boot option here. Boot option number 1, I'm gonna change it to my memory card, all right, which is this Lexa SD USB. That will be the first boot menu, and then I'm gonna click, which one is exit? I'm gonna click F4 to save and exit. Then the computer will start again, will restart again, in order for it now to enter the formatting process. All right, someone here is saying, as we are waiting for the computer to reboot, someone here is saying, today you look like Jesus. Yeah, it's a long story coming to my hair, when I'm walking in the street, if my hair is like this and I'm walking in the street, people will go like, hey, brother Jesus. Hello, brother Jesus. All right, I just love to keep my hair, because my mentor also has got long hair, You know, almost everybody who inspires me in videography, they have got long hair, so that's where the inspiration comes from. All right, so my computer is booting now. I just hope it goes straight to my boot menu that I selected. So the computer that I'm using here, it's the ProLine version. It's the ProLine computer. I'm entering the format. So if you didn't know how to format today, actually you will know how to format. So if you are installing Windows 10 and you have selected the correct boot menu, it will come to this page where you just say next, and then you go install now, right? Jesus of South Africa, Jesus of Zambia. All right, so here I'm gonna use the second one because this one is using a digital license, so it is already activated. But if you wanna go with the standard, it might need a key for you to activate it. So I'm just gonna go with DLA because it's using a digital license. All right, and then click next. And then accept the terms and click next. And then I'm gonna go to manual custom install because I want to wipe everything. Right, so these are my hard drives that I'm gonna install my operating system on. So I just hope it shows properly on the wherever you are watching it, because I think on the phones things they show a little bit really smaller. So what I'll do is I'll select partition number 1, delete it. Partition number 2, delete it. I'm gonna delete all these disks that are here. It just gives you a warning to say this partition might contain important files or applications from your computer manufacturer. If you delete this partition, any data stored on it will be lost. So I don't want to keep any data, so I don't mind. And then I'll just end up with having this unallocated space, which I'll create new and just say apply and then say yes. So now the disk is empty. I've deleted everything. You could either just go format and format your disk, but now I just like to delete everything so that it can create everything from scratch. And then after that, I'm gonna select the primary one. The one that says primary is the one that you need to select, and then click next. And then your computer will start copying files, and this is, you are installing a new operating system on your computer. So your computer will become very clean, not having files that are duplicate and stuff like that. So this is cleaning the whole computer, the whole entire computer. It is cleaning it up. So you can see it is copying files now. I'm installing a new operating system. So as it is doing that, I'll be reading your comments. Watching from Mongo, this is Mr. Young Fresh. Thank you so much. Miss Kasnalu says, I'm waiting for you here. Thank you so much. I can't wait. I'll be going to Zambia, specifically as well in Mongo. I'll be there maybe for 2 to 3 months, and we'll be working a lot of projects. You know, Kasnalu is one of the most underrated musicians. So wait until I should do some of the production for his songs. She sings very well, and I think she's underrated. So yeah, I'm really so excited to be that side, as well as in Zambia in general. I really want to work some projects with a lot of artists when I'm in Zambia, because I'm gonna be there for some time, you know. So yeah, let's work together. We are in the creative space. When are you coming to Malawi? We're gonna announce when I'm coming to Malawi. We're gonna announce. So yeah, the computer is still busy copying files. Now we are at 100%, getting files ready. So the computer is doing its things now. You know, it is copying files. At this point, you don't really have to do anything. You just really have to wait for it. All right. So as it is doing that, I'll be reading your comments. I'm glad to be in your class. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. When you're coming to Malawi, I'll be coming anytime. Just waiting for everything to be great. All right. Mr. Simon says, I have Dell Core i5, 10 GB RAM, 3 gigahertz, and 1 GB RAM graphics card. All right, so this is not 1 GB RAM. This is 1 gigahertz of graphics memory. So is it fine, or what should I upgrade on my PC? All right, so what you should upgrade on your PC, the graphics card is too small. 1 GB is too small, so at least upgrade it to 2 GB, or at least 4 GB. It will be even more great. All right, so I would advise you to upgrade on the graphics card from 1 GB to 2 GB, and also the RAM, at least upgrade it to 16 GB. 16 GB is the sweet spot. It's the entry level for professional editing, right? So if you at least have a computer that has got 16 GB, you are safe. All right. Keep up the good work, power of my brother. I'm still learning, but I'm getting there. Thank you so much, Mr. Molo Vela. Thank you so much. I'm waiting for you here at Mongo. Thank you so much. Me too. I'm waiting. When are you coming to Malawi? Malawi, we're going to announce. You know, when you are going to other countries, there's so much laws and rules that you need to obey. So we're still talking with other people. We have programs to go to Botswana. I've got a lot of people waiting for me in Botswana. Zimbabwe, even worse. In Zimbabwe, I won awards there. So even worse, a lot of filmmakers, Nigeria. So we are still putting everything together so that at least when I'm getting there, I shouldn't get arrested that, hey, this guy has come to our country illegally. You know, so it's one thing when you are just visiting, and it's one thing when people know that you are going to do something there. You know, so you know, as Africans, we like to sabotage each other. So I don't. We are working really hard so that at least when I'm done with workshop in Zambia and South Africa, at least I can get to other countries. All right. So it has finished. It has finished loading all the files, and it has restarted. I'm just waiting for it to restart so that I can show you what I'm able to see on the computer as well. Can Premiere Pro? All right, so it finished loading all the files. Now it is restarting. Okay, so as it is restarting, read one question again. Can Premiere Pro run without lags on i5 and 3 gigahertz 12 GB RAM, but without any dedicated graphics cards? Yeah, it can run, because Premiere Pro actually utilizes the graphics card, utilizes the computer's processor more than the graphics card. So once it uses up all the processing power of the computer, then it switches to the dedicated graphics card. So it can still run without lagging if you are working with files like MP4s that are compatible with Premiere Pro. But if you are working with files that are not compatible, then it might be problematic even if you had a graphics card. So those are the things that I was teaching in Video Editing Pro, computer requirements. You'll find that whole chapter in my Video Editing Pro, like where you need to understand the properties of a digital video in terms of bitrate, codecs, you know, all those kind of stuff. So it can still run on these specs on i5 3 gigahertz processor, 12 GB RAM, without any dedicated graphics card. But if you are working on really bigger files, it might start lagging. All right. Thanks a lot, leadership. We're learning a lot here. Much appreciated. This is Mr. Sitole. Thank you so much. EMC Tole, thank you so much. And yeah, Mr. Stino, VJ Stino is laughing. Right, I can't wait to be in Malawi as well. All right, so the computer now is formatting. Hopefully it finishes quickly so that I can show you which programs I use and why I use them. I think that's what you've been waiting for. But if you didn't know how to format the computer, this is actually how you do it. So it has finished copying all the files. Now it is booting again. All right, so the computer will restart time and again. At that point, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just leaving it to do its own stuff. All right. So if you have any questions, just ask. If you have any question, just ask. This is the perfect time before we get to the real questions. What is the name of the website? The name of the website is called Get Into PC. Just go to Google Chrome and type Get Into PC. Everything is going to come there nice and smooth. All right, next time, teach on Media Encoder. I don't understand how it works together with Premiere Pro. I have an HP. All right, with Media Encoder, I have taught, when I was looking at video editing, I taught quite a bit about Media Encoder when creating proxies, but I'm gonna teach it again. All right, so let's get back to the computer so that we finish this once and for all. So here you need to select which region you are. So if you are in Ukraine, you can choose Ukraine there. So right now I am in South Africa, so I'm gonna look for South Africa here. South Africa. So if you are in Zambia, you can choose Zambia. If you are in Japan, you can choose Japan. If you are in Zimbabwe, you can choose. All the countries are here. So currently I'm in South Africa, so I'm gonna just select South Africa and click next. And then the keyboard layout, make sure I use US. And then here the keyboard layout, I'm just gonna skip it. Remember, I'm installing Windows 10. So let me remove myself out of, so that you can see. So I would like to have your personal phone number. I want to show you my videos so that you can guiding me where I should improve. That is not a problem. You can get my number on the website. You can get my number on the website. Just text and then I'll answer. All right, sit back and relax. So the computer is still doing its own stuff here. I'm gonna get back to the questions. If you have any questions, just ask. Yeah, on short videos, I can render the video first. When I mark in and mark out clock on the sequence, then select render effects or render in and in to out. Okay, I don't know if you are asking a question or you are answering a question. I got a lot of questions. This is Mr. VJ. Ask is, sell me your broken laptop. That laptop, I'm not gonna sell it. I'm just gonna give it away. You know, I don't sell this kind of stuff. So it is RTX, very, very good laptop. So Mr. Stewart Mwanza, as I'm coming to Zambia, maybe I'm gonna come with it if I don't forget. So just keep reminding me. I promise that I'm gonna give it to you. All right, device name, desktop, processor, Intel Core i7, 3.6 gigahertz, blah, 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 operating system pen. This is my specs is at right now. This is a really good computer. So this computer can edit even 4K videos. So you have a really good computer. So if you're having problems, maybe it is because some of the programs that you have installed, and which I'm really hoping to show you today before this thing cuts. So I just formatted the computer. It is still loading programs. It takes a little bit of time, but if we want to see what we want to learn, then it's really good. We should wait. All right. So it has restarted again, and all right, so Mr. Tsepo says, no, it's just a statement. All right, okay, no problem. Mr. Aubrey Maseko, after this live, I will send you my project, then you can guide me. I have your number already. All right, that is not a problem. Mr. Mwanza says, thanks. I will wait patiently and I'll keep on reminding you, not a problem. All right, which editing software do you prefer between DaVinci and Adobe? This is Mr. Mwelwa. All right, so with regards to which software I prefer, I prefer, it depends what codec of the video I'm working on. So it happens at some point that I'm using Blackmagic cameras. Let's say, for example, Blackmagic 6K. All right. Blackmagic 6K works proper with DaVinci Resolve because it's the same company, you know. So when I'm shooting RAW and stuff like that, it is easier, right? But if I'm just really shooting like on a Sony a7S Mark II, I prefer to use Adobe Premiere Pro. Reason being is Adobe Premiere Pro has got a suite of other programs like After Effects, Photoshop, and you can intertwine them and you can work on a project in After Effects whilst you are in Premiere Pro. So I prefer Adobe Premiere Pro because it has got almost everything that I want. You know, I do editing in Adobe Premiere Pro, I do color grading in Adobe Premiere Pro, and all those kind of stuff. So I prefer Adobe Premiere Pro over DaVinci Resolve because Premiere Pro is actually lighter than DaVinci. You know, with DaVinci, you actually really need to have a good computer. But with Premiere Pro, even just a really small computer, you can actually install it. So that's why I prefer that's why I prefer Adobe Premiere Pro over DaVinci. But DaVinci isn't really a bad program. Even any other editing program out there, like Pinnacle, like Filmora, like Hitman, all those programs are not bad at all if they meet your needs. Remember, the way I edit is different from the way you edit, right? So if DaVinci Resolve really meets your requirements more than Premiere Pro, you have to do some comparison. I can't really tell you, go with this. You know, I'm just telling you based on my experiences. I love Premiere because I can mesh it with other Adobe Suite programs, you know. That's the only reason why I love it, and it's lighter. But for you, maybe you have a good computer and maybe you're working on a raw files, you know, which require maybe DaVinci. So it's just really personal preferences. There isn't really like this is better than this one. All right, so getting back to our computer here, it has finished copying all the files. So I'm just gonna set up, how would you like to set up? I'm gonna go with organization because I'm gonna use it for my company and create next. Let me put myself in the corner here so that people shouldn't think like this is a recorded video. And then here it would want me to sign in with Microsoft. I'm just gonna domain join so that I can skip that part. And then I'm gonna just write the name of the computer here. I'm just gonna say San Pedro because I'm the one who's gonna be using it, and click next. On the password, for some reason, I don't like putting password on my computers because I have a lot of password. The last thing that I want to forget is the password. So I just click next, and then it will continue doing its things. You know, we are formatting a computer. So here, I'm just gonna say accept. And then let's customize your experience. So what are you gonna use this computer for? All right, there's a high probability I'm gonna use this computer for entertainment, as well as maybe gaming. And then what else? I think creativity as well, and then business as well. The other school, I'm not a student. Family, there's no family members gonna use this computer. I'm just gonna click accept. All right, it's gonna restart. It's gonna install all those things and restart again. All right, so we are formatting the computer, guys. All right, so as it is doing its stuff, right now it says don't turn off your computer. This might take several minutes, but it's not really gonna take that much of time. All right. So I started, it's struggling to open MOV files. So I started first on the laptop. All right, I started with the desktops, and I switched to laptops because desktops, if I have to move from one place to another, carrying them around, it's usually a pain. So I switched to laptops from desktops, but desktops also had their own advantages in terms of cooling, you know. They have got a lot of space, so you can add a lot of fans to cool the components in the computer, especially for intensive editing. But when I have to move around with it, that's where the problem comes. So having a laptop, it has got more advantages than just really having a desktop. All right, so our computer has finished formatting, and this is the first screen that you see. You can see there's no graphics drivers installed. There isn't really like anything at the moment. So we're gonna start from here now. What kind of softwares do you install? What kind of, and why do you install them? So just after formatting the computer, I think one of the things that most, I'm gonna connect my external hard drive. Right, so after the computer is formatted now, everything is clean. There is nothing that is installed in this computer. The first thing that you need to do is to install chipset drivers, like the chipset drivers, right? So you need to know to get the audio drivers, the graphics drivers, all the drivers on the chipset, you know, like the ones that, the system drivers, the one that makes the system, you know, like Bluetooth, all those kind of stuff. And it is very difficult for you to know what your computer needs. Of course, there are some softwares that you can download that can tell you which drivers you need to install on your computer. But for me, I use this program. Let me just go inside the computer. I'll go in my external drive here. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit, if at all, because now it has got no graphics. So I'm gonna go to, not even going anywhere. Okay. There's this installer, it is 22.5 GB. It is called Snappy Driver Installer. So you can go to that same website which I just showed you to go and download this program. So this program, it is called Snappy Driver Installer. It will detect all the system softwares that needs to be installed on your computer. All right, so if I go back there, I'm gonna open it and then open it again, and then I'm gonna come to here. You can see I'm running Windows 64-bit, so I'm gonna select 64-bit here, just double click on it, and then let me just zoom it out a little bit so that you can see it properly. Let me zoom it. You can see I'll just say allow access here where it says it's asking whether to allow access or not. So I'll say allow access. Let me zoom it out. You'll see all these drivers. They are like, how many drivers? They are like all these drivers that you are seeing here. This program will detect each and every driver that needs to be installed. You can see it has also detected the graphics drivers, the NVIDIA drivers. It will install all the system drivers that your computer needs. All right, let me just zoom in a little bit here. So with regards to my computer, these are the drivers that it needs. So there is no way that you can actually really know, oh, my computer will need Realtek PCI card reader or this stuff. So using a software like this will just help you to just really know what drivers your computer needs. These are just drivers that help to run your system properly. All right, so I'm just gonna zoom out, and what I'll do here is I'm gonna just say select all, because I want to install all of them. You can see I've got about 19 drivers that needs to be installed, system drivers. So I'm just gonna click install. And then this program, it will install all these drivers. You know, at this point, I don't even have to do anything. It will install all these drivers to making sure that your computer runs smoothly. You can see it has installed another driver here. As it is installing, it will be updating. Even the screen, the whole resolution is gonna start changing. You know, it will install all the necessary components that your computer needs. All right, how are you managing operating another PC and showing on a live stream? Your live streams are so informative, thanks. All right, so Nick Angel is asking, how are you able to manage? All right, so the way I'm managing is I'm having a computer right behind me, Right behind me there's a computer that is live streaming, and then I'm having another computer on this desk which is connected to that computer. So whatever that is in this computer, it is connected to that computer via this capture card, which is here. So I wish there was a way that I could show you. I wish there was a way that I could show you, but I have taught about all these sort of connections in my live streaming masterclass. All right, so I have a course of live streaming where I show you how to connect sound, how to live stream, and all those kind of stuff. So all this connection that is happening here, it is already explained in that course of live streaming. But it is simple. I have a capture card that is connected to all these cameras. Camera 1, I've got camera 2 over there, and then I've got a PC in the background is connected on number 4, so that is the PC in the background. And then I have got this PC which I'm using for demonstrated is also connected. So I'm just switching in between. All right, but you'll be able to understand that properly when you get that course. Okay, so it is installing all the drivers. It has installed almost half of the drivers. It is remaining with 14 drivers. It's actually a little bit faster. You see, when it is installing the graphics drivers, it even goes off. When it comes, at least the graphics now, they are appearing okay. So as it is installing, it is busy also updating itself, which is good. So this part is very important. You know, after formatting your computer, don't just rush to install Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe what. First, you need to make sure the system drivers are properly installed. This will ensure that your computer is running smoothly and properly. Some of you have problems where Adobe is crashing. Maybe your system computer is not, your system drivers are not installed, right? So this is the first thing that you need to do. All right, so you can see it is still installing. You can see it is still installing all the drivers. Now it is installing the graphics driver, the dedicated graphics driver. It has installed the internal graphics drivers. Now it is installing the dedicated graphics drivers. And let's go back to your questions as it is installing. And Canon 5D Mark II with video shooting, what is your take? I think it's a beautiful camera. It's only that it's an old camera right now. It doesn't have really the luxury of flip out screens and stuff, but it records really nice HD video. You know, with a camera, I always tell my students, if you can go now on Google, on YouTube, and search videos created with 5D Mark II, you'll be very shocked. So when it comes to creativity in terms of how a video comes out, I always teach my students to say it is not the camera, it is the skills behind the camera. You know, people create really awesome videos with just a phone, They create really nice commercial videos that are even showing on phones, on TV, commercial that was created with a phone, because there is a level of skills that have gone into that creation process. So the 5D Mark II, it's a powerful camera, really good camera. If you pair it with a good lens, you pair it with some skills, some knowledge in terms of camera angles, lighting, storytelling, you really create good videos. All right. List best cards for video. List best cards for recording videos from 1080p and upwards. I don't know which cards you are referring. If you are talking about SD cards, right? These ones over here. Let me switch to this camera. If you are talking about these ones over here, let me see if I can get this thing in focus. Let's do that. Okay. If this is what you are talking about, these SD cards, right? I only use these Extreme Pros. There was some other cards that I was using, the Lexus, and let me just switch on to this other camera. So I only use the SanDisk Extreme Pro cards. These have never disappointed me. I was using another brand called Lexa. It once disappointed me, whereby I plugged it to the computer, and from nowhere it says for you to use this card you need to format it. So the brand that I trust is Extreme Pro SD cards. Okay, so the computer is still installing softwares at this side. It is remaining with 12. It is remaining with 12 more programs. Very soon it will finish, and then I'm gonna show you which programs you must install. All right, so it's remaining with 12. The other bigger softwares, I think they are done. These other softwares which are remaining here are smaller ones, so I think they will install pretty faster. All right, it will install pretty quickly. All right, so which does the drivers use internet? This is an offline installer, so even if you don't have an internet, they will install. Even if you don't have internet, it will install. Thanks, boss, for this. Thank you so much. Can I have a link to Snappy Driver? Just go to Google Chrome and type get into PC and type Snappy Driver in the search. It will come. All right. Load shedding, how do you deal with it? I have an inverter just sitting right in that corner there. I have an inverter, so I have a 2 kilowatts inverter that can last for 2 hours. So that's how I've been dealing with it, but I think at some point it started really bringing problems to my systems, so I ditched it. But if I'm really desperate to use it, I always use an inverter. Sometimes when I'm even going for some shoots where there's no electricity, I go with my inverter. I'm organized. So I have an inverter here. That's how I managed to deal with it. All right. Thank you so much, sir. This is Nick Angel. Thank you. Simon is, I think, is replying. Canon 6D captures nice clips for music video. Very nice. 6D, Canon 6D, especially Mark II, that is the entry-level full-frame camera. It captures really nice videos. All right, watching from South Africa, I want to join your class by the end of the week. Will the promotions still be available? I don't know. I'm going to ask my team if the promotion will be available, but the promotion is ending tomorrow. So it's $250. Every course on my website is $250. Even these things that I'm showing you now, they are already on my course. So I'm just doing this for the people who cannot really afford the $250, but they're still interested to learn, All right, so Snappy Drivers, it's very big. Yeah, it's really big. This one is 22 gig, but there is one, the smallest one, I think it is 9 gig. So if you're gonna have to download Snappy Driver, you have to do it overnight. But it's really helpful, really helpful. If you are a videographer, you need to download it. Because anytime you want to format your computer and you really need your computer to run properly, system drivers needs to be installed. All right, so when we get back to our computer here, all the drivers now, they have been installed. By now, the computer will be running really smoothly. You can see some drivers here, installation completed, system restart is required. All the drivers have been installed. So now that all the system drivers have been installed and updated, even when you add your own programs, it will be very easier for your computer to run smoothly. Right, so this, you need to get this out of the way before you even install any software. So I'm just going to restart the computer. So that we can now start installing our own programs. So Windows is getting ready. which is a good thing. All right, Canon 750D, is it good for music video, sir? Very wonderful camera. It's an APS-C sensor. It's using at least the Digic 6 processor, if not the Digic 7. It has got dual autofocus system, really good, especially for beginner. Really good, awesome color science, good autofocus. If you pair that camera with a good lens like the Sigma 24-70 or 24-105, you really gonna make good videos. All right, like I say again, on the cameras, it is just really the skill behind the camera. You know, there have been people who God has blessed them with money. They can buy any camera that they want, but they're still creating really poor videos because they don't have a skill. A camera doesn't make video. It is a person behind the camera who makes video. So this should always ring in your head, okay? Because just go on YouTube right now and search videos created with 750D. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. So the computer is restarting now. After this restart, now we are installing our own programs. I'm going to show you why I install certain programs so that you can see sometimes, yeah, nice and neat. All right, so our computer is still fresh at this point. Everything, it is still a virgin now. It is still a virgin. It has got no program installed apart from the system that is helping it to run. Even the screen now, it has changed. It is showing things really nice. This is what I want. So now even if I start installing my own programs, I know that I'm installing on a system that is already running properly. So if you start installing your editing programs, like I said, you're gonna run into really a lot of problems going forward. All right, so after that part is done, the first software that I normally install, I'm just gonna zoom in here a little bit. All right, the first software that I'm gonna install, I'm gonna go to my softwares, double click in there. And then the first software that I normally install is the WinRAR. You know, this is the software that I use to unzip files. Sometimes when you are downloading a file from that website that I just showed you, sometimes it comes as a zipped file. So in order for you to unzip it, you need something like WinRAR or WinZip to unzip that file so that you can access it. So mostly all my programs, they are zipped. So this is the first software that I install. So you can just download it there. It's called WinRAR. You can just download it there. And to install it, just double click on it and then say yes, and then install. And then here, just say okay. And it's done just like that. It is done. So it's gonna bring this, after it is done, it's gonna open the folder where it has been installed. You can just close that folder. That is the first software that I install. All right, let me zoom in. And then the second software that I install, it is called QuickTime Installer. This software, it brings, all right, so I know I'm gonna be doing a lot of video formats, especially MOV, ProRes, and stuff like that. So this software, it installs drivers that help to play such kind of files, right? So some people, they have been complaining to say, hey, my computer can't play my files properly because I don't know, maybe my computer is slow. No, it's just the codecs, some of the codecs software have not been installed. So QuickTime, if you're gonna be using MP4 alone, you can skip this QuickTime, but if you're gonna be using files like MOV and other related files that are Apple related, you know, you really need to install this software. It's very important. So I'm just gonna double click on it to install again. It just installs extra codecs for the videos, for different types of videos to run properly. All right, so this is an Apple's award-winning software. So since you are using Windows, in order for you to play some of other codecs that Apple plays, you need to install this software. So programs like formats like ProRes, MOV, those are Apple ProRes. Those are software that were created by Apple. So for you to play them on Windows, you need to install this software. So that's why I normally install this one as the second one. All right, so to install is just next. Then here I'm just gonna go typical and then install, and then it will just install. All right, which antivirus do you use? This is a question from Elton. I actually don't use any antiviruses in my computers. If anything, I switch off all the computer protection, because those antiviruses, they've got a habit of detecting viruses where they are not there. Actually, they create a virus themselves. They are a virus. So if you have any antiviruses that is installed in your computer, I'll just really suggest you uninstall it, especially if you're going to be using your computer mainly for editing, for creative purpose. Because most of these programs, they don't really come with viruses. Antiviruses can become the virus itself. It slows down the computer. Anything that you install in the computer, it will try to scan that thing, you know. So I don't really use any antivirus in my computers. All right, so we are installing QuickTime here. I'm just gonna say yes. It's very easy to install. Come on, is watching from Malawi. Thank you so much for joining. We are almost done. Then finish, and then I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit here. And then the other software that I normally install, which is very important, is VLC. A VLC player. You know, VLC is not just a player. This is really an important software. You can actually use VLC to live stream, to convert files. So installing VLC comes with other codecs of different formats of videos. You know, so my computer is likely to play any kind of a video regardless of the format, because I have installed different codecs. So sometimes maybe you are playing, you are trying to play an MTS file. If in your computer codecs of MTS files are not installed, it will fail to play that file. Not because the computer is slow, but the codec that supports that file format is not installed in your computer. So VLC, it is very important because it comes with additional codecs, files that helps to play different types of videos. All right, so I'm gonna install VLC. Just double click on it. You can download all these softwares on that program that I just showed you. And then here it says English, just okay, next. Nothing that needs to be done, just say next. Next, you can see all these plugins here, disk playbacks, they are being installed. You can see all these web plugins. You can see all these are so important. You see audio file associations. You can see video files associations. I just want to show you something here. If I open here, you can see all these different formats that you can see here. 3G files, all these sort of files, it is installing those codecs. So in case you see AVI, AMV, 3GPP, all these files are so important. You can see all these codecs. It is installing all these codecs, MP4. So if you try, you see even the one that I just told you now. You see all these codecs, you can see MTS files, MTV files, all these files. These are codecs that will help to play these types of files on your computer. So if, for example, I switch off this one right here, if I try to play a video which has got a file extension that has got MTS file, that file is not gonna play, not because the computer is slow, but because the codecs are not installed. So VLC, it's a very important program. So I'm just gonna click that one and just say next, and then say install, and then it will install all those codecs and files. All right. Mr. Blackson Mwambila says watching from Malawi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. and then the installation here is complete. I'm just gonna say finish, and then here I'm just gonna say continue, and then that is your VLC. I know you always see this player, but it's very important, right? I don't just install it because I want to play videos, but it comes with those additional codecs. All right, and then the next software that I'm gonna install, let me zoom in so that you can see. It is called Keylight Codec Pack. All right, this is also very important. Very important. It installs additional codecs as well. So as a content creator, as a video editor, as a person who does photography and stuff like that, you want to make sure that you install as many types of codecs as possible, because there's different types of videos, you know, different types of codecs, different types of formats. So you want to make sure that you install as much as you can. So this Keylight player, it comes with some codecs as well that are so important. So to install it, just double click on it. Very easy. You just need to know what software to install and what it does. All right. Next. Let me just zoom out there. All right. So here where it says installation mode, I'm just going to go with normal and come down here to say next, and then Media Classic player as well, I'm going to install it, and then install codecs only for MPCH. I'm just going to leave this one blank. I'm not blank, I'm just going to check it out because it will install also file associations. So there I'll just click that one as well. Essentials plus extra, make sure it is selected. Install only for 64-bit components, even though I'm using a 64-bit, but there are some softwares that might come in 32-bit, so I don't check this one and just say click next. And then here I'm just gonna click next as well. You can see decoding method, settings for MPC. You can check all these ones, right? You can check all these ones. So you can see H264, HEVC, these are really important codecs that you might need. All right, so it's even giving a warning here. Your system only provides hybrid hardware acceleration of performance may not be better than with normal software encoding. All right, so it is just good that they are installed. Okay, so I'm gonna click next, and then primary language and stuff like that, those things I'll just skip them. I'll just say next, and then the stereo, this is actually the software that I change if I want to make surround, you know, like 7:1 channel or 5:1 sound settings for cinema and stuff like that, for surround building. This is the software that I normally use. So for editing, I'm just gonna go with stereo here, and then click next, and then install. Then it's gonna install all those softwares. Following you very well from Copperbelt, Zambia. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in Copperbelt. I'm coming first week of September. I'll be in Copperbelt. I use Red Giant for editing color. I see you have it. Yes, I'm gonna install it as well. So that is not done yet. This install additional DirectX files. These are so important, you know. And then I'm gonna check that one in. I want to install the direct extra files, right? And then say yes. So it is going to download those files, and then once it's done, we can see here the DirectX is starting to download as well, installing the components. So these are very important. So sometimes your videos aren't playing nicely on your computer, not because the computer is bad, but you just don't have extra codecs that is supported, that supports the files that you are playing, that supports the videos that you are trying to play. All right. So installing correct softwares and system drivers in the computer, very important. It can make the smallest computer run like a beast. So that's why this computer that I'm installing these things on, it's just a small entry-level computer. But I use this sort of computers as well for editing. Sometimes I can pick this computer to take with me just to go and copy cards. But when I'm there, I feel like I need to start editing. I'll just use it for editing. Okay, so live from Lilongwe, Malawi. When are you coming here? We're gonna announce. I can't wait to be in Malawi. By the way, I have been to Malawi several times. I've been to Muzuzu. I've been to Nzomba. If you know where Nzomba is, I've been to Lilongwe. I've been to Blantyre. You know, I used to film for Prophet Bushiri. So we had a really nice time in Malawi for quite some time. I miss Malawi. I wish to come back there that side again sometime in future. All right. Following you very well. If you have any questions, just let me know as I'm still waiting for this software to install. So it is installing now, just remaining with 22 seconds. 22 seconds. Okay, I use Red Giant for editing color. I see you have it. Yeah, if you want to understand proper color grading, you need to get my course, color grading. All right. Mr. Tepo says, this lesson is very important. Thank you so much. Watching from Zambia, this is Boyd. Thank you so much. Share plugins and other loads for Premiere, especially, I'm just gonna show you now. Are DSLR cameras good for live streaming for church service? Yes, whenever I'm doing live streaming for any program, church service, I use DSLR cameras. Even now, I'm using the same DSLR cameras. Specifically, I use the Lumix GH5, not because there's some specialty to them, but because it's one of the few DSLR cameras that have got a normal HDMI output, you know, like a big one, not the All right, I can see someone was saying sound. We have no sound, Mr. Y. Sound check. All right, the camera that is taking sound was off. I forgot to connect sound straight to the computer. Oh, my bad. Okay, so I'm sure we are back now. So I was saying the software that I use the next software that I usually install is called Handbrake. This is the software that I use to convert videos. You know, sometimes you create a 4K video, and for you to post that video on social media the way it is, it can lose quality because the platform where you are posting it to will compress that video further to match their system recommended, their platform recommended settings, right? So using a software like Handbrake, it is very nice because it makes the files, the file sizes very small, at the same time keeping the quality of the video high. You know, so if you want to send someone a video very quickly, I convert it with Handbrake. This software is very good. I always make sure I have it installed. All right. Can I use Dell Latitude E for video editing? That is Mr. Mike. This is the question that I was addressing earlier during this live, to say the brand of the laptop doesn't really matter. Whether you are using Dell, whether you are using HP, whether you are using ProLine, whether you are using Predator, what matters are the specs of that computer. So if your Dell Latitude have got good specs that can be able to edit, then you can use it. All right. So Handbrake has been installed, finish, and then the next software that I normally install is Google Chrome, right? This is obviously Google Chrome, very important. Without Google Chrome, you cannot survive. So I'm just gonna install it. Make sure you always have Google Chrome as well installed, because there are other Google Chrome is not just really like a browsing, it's not just really like a browsing software. There are so many things that are linked to Google Chrome. There are so many programs that are linked to Google Chrome, like vMix is linked to Google Chrome. If you don't have Google Chrome, you're gonna really suffer to log in into vMix and stuff like that. So always make sure, and it's faster, it's modern, it has got a better interface for browsing and downloading videos and stuff like that. So Google Chrome, I always make sure it is installed. All right, so it is downloading some resources now. We can hear you. I can hear you now. Thank you so much. Excellent. This is Mr. Andrew Mata. We can get you now. Thank you. All right. So we are still downloading the software. There is Driver Pack and Snappy. There is Driver Pack and Snappy Driver. Which one are you highly recommending for drivers? I highly recommend Snappy Drivers, because Snappy Drivers, even if you don't have internet, it will install all the drivers in your computer. So it is the one that I recommend. What is the benchmark for proper video editing? Watching from Kaoma. This is Mr. Nelly. All right, so with the benchmark for proper video editing, I think, all right, my Chrome here has finished. I'm going to answer your question just now. Let me just, as I'm explaining, at least some softwares are being installed. All right, so Chrome is installed. That is one of the software that I rushed to install. And after that, I think at this point, I can now start installing editing softwares, installing creative softwares. All right. So the first software that I install, after all the system drivers have been installed, some of the softwares like Players that have been installed, QuickTime have been installed. I think from there, I can now get into installing the softwares that I use for editing, right? So the software that I normally install, again, Let's go there. All right, so if you go here, the software that I normally install for editing videos, we've got Adobe Premiere Pro, we've got Adobe Photoshop, we've got Adobe Media Encoder, Adobe Audition, Adobe After Effects, and Adobe Lightroom. All right, so all these are offline installers. You don't need to subscribe to Adobe in order for you to use these softwares. All right, I already showed you where you can download these softwares for free. So for example, if I want to install Adobe Premiere Pro, I just go and open Adobe Premiere Pro. You see it has got the setup here. Just double click on that setup. It will bring this setup exe file, and then just like that, it is loading there. You can see Adobe Premiere Pro installation options, and then here you just click continue. You just click English, North America, everything. Yeah, I don't even do anything here, just say continue, and then it will start installing. So this is an offline installer. You don't need to buy it. You just go to get it into PC, type Adobe Premiere Pro, and download the version that you want, right? And what happens with Adobe is, like, this is Adobe 2022. What I usually do is I'll start using Adobe 2023 next year. So I'm always one software behind, because when you rush to start using the latest software, it normally usually have these bugs, things that they are still working on as well, because remember, they are a business, so they have to keep on bringing them even if they are not complete. So I always make sure in 2023, I use 2022 because I know it is complete. They have done the fine tuning and stuff like that. And when we go to 2024, that's when I'll start using Adobe 2023. And Adobe doesn't change. Even Adobe 2017 is almost still the same as Adobe 2023. All right, they just change a few things here and there, but everything still remains the same. The best part is Adobe 2017 might even need a smaller computer. Adobe 2022, maybe it might need the computer requirements that I just told you now, but with lower versions might need even a low spec computer. So that is an advantage, but they are still working the same way. All right, so I'm installing Adobe now. Which one is the best video editor between PowerDirector and Adobe Premiere Pro? When it comes to which one is the best, is, let's put it in this way: which one gives you people, when you are editing, each and every editor, they've got a different video editing style, right? Maybe sometimes you might need effects, you might need transitions. If PowerDirector has got things that you need, then I think PowerDirector will be better for you. But if Adobe has got the things that I need personally as a video editor, maybe I want to create text, I want to animate text, and I want to do all those sort of stuff, I think if it meets my requirements, for me, that program will be the best for me. So it really depends what you are trying to edit and if the program that you are trying to choose has got those capabilities. So before you actually really decide on which program you want to use for editing, you need to look at its features first, right? So that is subjective. It's up to you. I don't like this issue where I just tell a videographer, use this software, use this software. I want you to understand exactly, if you are using Adobe Premiere Pro, why are you using it? What do you want? Are you using it because San Pedro is using it? Are you using it because your neighbor is using it? It doesn't go like that. You have to actually really understand what you want from that particular software. What are the requirements? When I started editing, I was editing using Windows Movie Maker. So it was limiting because I couldn't layer videos on top of other layers like that. With Adobe Premiere Pro, I can put up to 50 or over 50 video layers on top of one another. I can create really this big timeline for editing. I couldn't do that with Windows Movie Maker. So I left Windows Movie Maker because there are some few things that it was not giving to me. When I discovered Adobe Premiere Pro, I saw, Adobe Premiere Pro caters to certain things that I need in an editing software. So it has been my best, right? But if you are just blank, you really don't know where to start from, I would advise you to start with Adobe Premiere Pro, because It is a professional software. It has got almost everything that you can really look for in an editing program. It is also being used in Hollywood for editing movies that you watch, so it's really a professional program. So it is something that is worth consideration. All right, now it has finished installing, as you can see. Just close, and that's all. It is done. All right, so after Adobe Premiere Pro has installed, I'll go ahead and install these other programs. For the sake of time, the installation process is just the same. So there's Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Media Encoder. Photoshop is the one that I use to do flyers and stuff like that. Posters, when I want to design something. Maybe sometimes it's a lower third for my live stream. I use Photoshop mostly. And then we've got Adobe Media Encoder. This is the one that I use when I'm trying to create proxies. When I'm editing, sometimes I'm using this small computer to edit, and I have to edit maybe 4K 10-bit video files, which are really so heavy for this computer. So in order for me to edit faster, I need to create proxies. So in order for you to create proxies in Adobe Premiere Pro, you need to have Adobe Media Encoder as well installed. Not only that, sometimes when I'm exporting other projects from After Effects, I always render them with Adobe Media Encoder. This is a program whereby instead of exporting one video at a time or one timeline at a time, you can export multiple timelines. So Media Encoder, it's really, really important. And then the other software that I normally install is called Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition is a sound recording software. So sometimes when I'm recording my tutorials, I connect this microphone straight to my computer, and I use Adobe Audition to record the sound and clean it up, and then take it to Adobe Premiere Pro and sync it with the video. So right now, I'm taking sound straight to the camera. So if I'm recording a tutorial, the sound will be recorded on the camera. But there are times whereby I use a mixer straight to the computer, and I use a program like Adobe Audition to clean up sound, to record sound and stuff like that. All right, the other software that I normally install is called After Effects. This is my favorite of all softwares. All right, so After Effects, this is the software that I use to create complex motion graphics. Sometimes I want to do some VFX on some videos. Maybe I want to remove this eye and replace it with some robot. I have done that. And this is where actually I started my career. I was not really like an editor. I was a VFX guy. So I can create Terminators. I can create set extensions. I can create those cool animations, broadcast identities and stuff like that. Those promo videos, mostly I use Adobe After Effects. All right. And then I use Lightroom, of course, to edit videos. All right. And then the other software that I normally install is Bandcam. This Bandcam is when I want to record my screen, for screen recording. So I use this software called Bandcam. Installation is very easy. And then some of the plugins that I normally use, I've got Red Giant. Red Giant is really just for color grading. I don't really use it much, but it has got some nice color preset. If you don't have LUTs, Red Giant is one you can start from. It has got a plugin inside there called Lux, and it also got some plugin there called Colorista, which I use for color correction. It has got also a plugin here there that is called Denoiser. That is, maybe you shot a footage that has got noise, grainy everywhere. You can use a Red Giant suite called Denoiser 3, and you can remove much of that noise out. And it has got also a bunch of other plugins there like Film, where you can convert your DSLR looking video into something that looks like it was shot on the cinema camera. It's a really, really big plugin, and I always make sure I install it. And then to even take things further, there is this plugin. I don't know if I'll see it here. Neat Video. This Neat Video plugin for Premiere Pro, it is the best as far as cleaning your video goes. You know, sometimes you're shooting on a camera like the Lumix GH5. It is really poor in low light, so you are tempted to crank the ISO so that you can have more light. And in doing so, ISO produces noise in the video. So you can check out that noise from that video using Neat Video plugin. This is the best. It will take out that noise and your video will look crispy as if it was shot on a really high full frame camera. All right, so that is another plugin that I normally install. And then the other plugin that I normally install that I never really want to forget is called Film Convert Nitrate. This software is the best, you know. So DSLR footage really looks like DSLR. So if you really want to take it to the ends, to try and convert the video texture into something that looks video-ish, you know, when you shoot something, especially when you're shooting with a mirror, with a camera like the 70D, which has got a mirror, the picture looks like this video was shot with a DSLR camera. So for some of us who are really so much into this video texture, a plugin like Film Convert is really handy. It's really handy. So this is a plugin that, you know, you can try to use film stock like Fujita, Provia, you know, those film stock that makes your video look like it was shot with a cinema camera. So this plugin, I always install it. I never miss it. All right. So there's still a couple of other pro plugins, you know, vMix and stuff like that, Prism, OBS, and all this stuff, NDI Toolkit. But I think I have been live for some time now, guys. Let's cut this video now. If you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, just join one of my classes, right? I have an amazing online film making classes. Just go to ufc.unifyinventive.net, and if you want to learn more about these things, just subscribe to just enroll in a program, a video editing Pro Max. That program, I discuss some of this stuff in details, nicely showing you examples of how these things they work, if you are removing noise, how it works and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth to check it out. Right now the courses are on promotion. They are on promotion at $250 only. All right, can you use proxies for Adobe After Effects for smooth editing, or is it only applicable to Adobe Premiere Pro? You can actually use it also in After Effects. That's why I like to use Adobe, because most stuff that you can do with Adobe Premiere Pro, you can actually really do it as well with After Effects. So you can still use proxies even in After Effects. Thank you so much. Time, the little will go a long way. Thank you so much. You are not cracking. Elton Mazura is showing photos only. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I never thought this video is going to be this long, but I hope you have learned a few techniques. You have learned a few things with regards to taking care of your computer. But do you recommend Sony Vegas? Yeah, if it meets your required desire for editing, you can use it. All right, just in summary, what are the benchmark for live streaming machine? For live streaming, I think just get a computer that has got 2 gigahertz graphics card, that has got at least 4 cores of processing power, 2.4 gigahertz, and then at least with a solid state drive, I think those with a RAM of at least 8 GB. I think those can do live streaming. Not I think, but sometimes I use this same small computer to do live streaming. Live streaming doesn't take a lot of computer resources. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. If you have any question, you can ask in the comments, and tomorrow we shall go live again. And let me know if there's any specific topic that you would want us to look at tomorrow. Then we're going to look at that specific one. I'll see you tomorrow again. Thank you so much. Have a good night.